Computer science and technology developed a lot around pornography. Videos on browser, accounts, pay-per-click, pay-per-view were all there before. So if we want to create better tech, we should study these platforms as well.
The development of the web over time has led pornographic contents to be accessed by a variety of publics, which is growing more and more, and which is also taking to the production of more contents. Nowadays, the porn industry has come to represent the most rentable sector of digital capitalism. In this regard, platformization has deeply changed pornographic contents, either in distribution and in production. Contents have become more and more violent and extreme, with the aim of keeping users as long as possible on the platform.
Platforms are but a small piece of those cultural institutions nowadays that affect how we think and interact and we see every aspect and every facet of our life.
Surveillance capitalism is one of the biggest problems of PornHub because they try to profile you for your sexual preferences and sell this information to third parties. The market there is quite unregulated, and therefore that can be a certain problem. They also try to profile you against your consent by installing a sneaky form of tracking that are not simple cookies but are even deeper. And those are all problems often overlooked because privacy analysts or regulators don't look at pornography with the same interest they look to other businesses.
A private company understanding your sexual orientation is able to drive you into a bunch of content that are in their mind related to your interests, but this is not always the case, and this idea can also lead you in some really difficult and dangerous zone of the platform, also without you being aware.
Online pornography is a pervasive phenomenon which has the capacity to shape gender identity, gender exploration, and also sexual and affective practices. There is existing research on this topic, for example, showing that pornographic websites are built on the basis of the categorization of bodies, races, or sexual behaviors. But these categorizations are primarily concerned with a male gaze, which is interested in categorize female body.
When Pornhub deleted 9 million videos, after all, they were already establishing themselves as the platform monopolist for porn in the internet. And they used unverified video for many years to become the reference point.
In our paper, we analyze how specifically PornHub becomes a means to reproduce this heterosexual male gaze, and we do that basing our analysis on how the platform does suggestions to its users.
What we did in this research was to create a series of profiles on PornHub. We create these profiles based on a series of criteria and always taking into account the options that PornHub gave to us. So, for example, we created some accounts that related to broader socio-demographic profiles, so it represented different people. So, for example, we had profiles of girl interested in boys, of boy interested in girls, and all the possible permutation and different combination that PornHub allowed us to represent as our identities on the platform.
It's a field where you need to consider also the psychological implication for the researchers. We managed to somehow limitate the damage that this kind of research could have on us.
I built the technical infrastructure to collect the evidence of personalization, because if you want to prove that Pornhub is profiling you, you need to collect plenty of samples, then parse them and decode metadata, and then use this metadata to understand that behind there was an algorithm that was profiling you. Also, I built a tool named Guardoni. Guardoni in Italian stands for the watcher, the lurker, the one that has a gaze. And this is the tool that watch porn for us, so we can keep our mind clean and look only at the technical evidence.
What we found out is that the way in which Pornhub distributes, organizes, and displays its content. It's not only based on sexual interest, which should be the chief category that pertains sexual orientations, but it was also highly and strongly altered by another variable, gender, that should be, to some extent, slightly unrelated from, or at least have less impact than sexual orientation in determining what kind of content you might enjoy. This more broadly represents a way in which platforms, or in this case PornHub, are able to build and understand and identify and convert to data specific variables that individuals have. So in this case, for example, how gender and sexual orientation is able to have an impact on the algorithmic distribution of content within the platform.
For the final investigation, we performed all the self-disclosed gender identities, but with the same sexual interest, girls, because at the end we are still in the patriarchal temple. We analyzed all the sections in the platform homepage, and the most viewed is actually the one with a higher media of views. The ones personalized by location were presenting the same video to all the users we consider, since they did it from the same country, but the ones personalized for you were actually creating two clusters, one heteronormative and the other with non-conforming gender identities.
Basically, although PornHub tracks its users, we've seen how the suggested content on the platform remains fixed. And it's based on preferences logics, which are normally shaped by heterosexual, masculinized preferences. The combination of these insights show us that PornHub, but also pornographic platforms at large, foster a heteronormative perspective on gender identities, sexual orientation, sexual practices, which of course becomes detrimental to minorities, which basically disappear from the platform.
Join the project.